Hello, welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person. And today I want to talk to you about Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Um, and I don't know a whole lot of there's not going to be a ton of preface here. I'm assuming you're kind of familiar with some Call of Duty stuff, or have seen some of my other Call of Duty reviews leading up to this. I realized I did Modern Warfare 2 before this one, but I was kind of doing it more in the way that I played it. It's been a whole series, it's been a whole thing. So, yeah, not super in depth, but yeah, there's a written review also in the description if you want to check that out instead. That might hit maybe a couple things if I brush past them here, but this is yeah, this is really where we see this goes into. Oh, I didn't realize this was still going to play the demo when it was on that screen. Okay, well, uh, that's as good a place as any to start talking about the game because I'm taking too long. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare is taking the same kind of Call of Duty thing we've been seeing, but it tries to push it into the modern age. And it basically what it does is that I mean, this came out in like 2007, so it's trying to take a somewhat modern take on what you'd have for weapons and the countries and geopolitics and tech and all that stuff. And it tries to give us a fantasy of what could happen in a more modern setting with war, rather than just going back to like World War II constantly. And again, I'm not going to pretend like I know all of what's going on with the plot and stuff because it's kind of complicated to me in the sense of what's going on. It does get explained as you're going through with little cutscenes and things, usually like little cutscenes slash mission briefings between each of your missions. But as far as the gameplay goes, yeah, like I don't know, like but all I'm gonna say for the story stuff really is the idea is that generally speaking, you're trying to kind of stop basically like a world war. You don't want a bunch of people fighting everybody else and everything. So you're kind of trying to keep some semblance of order and stability in the world is kind of the basic idea. And I mean, the gameplay is still pretty similar to what you've seen before. It's definitely like snappier and more fluid than other games, and your sprint comes standard now. That's just a thing you can actually do. But you're still going in and doing missions where you have like an overall objective, and as you're there, things will kind of change as the situation evolves. Going through those levels, getting checkpoints. There are these little like hidden intel laptops you can find throughout the levels as well as like little hidden things out of the way. And I mean, you're running around, shooting down soldiers and stuff. You're going around clearing out, like, you might be clearing out, like, a street, or you might be going through houses, or you might be in a vehicle, you might be manning some vehicle off somewhere, like a turret, or like in a plane or something. There's some stealth missions kind of thrown into here, as well as some of these more open fighting scenes as well. So there's like a variety of those things going on. And yeah, the basic idea is to try and obviously complete all the missions, and you end up resolving the plot of the game. There's also then once you beat the game, you unlock an arcade mode where you can go in and replay either any of the missions or the entire campaign, and then you can like get scored based on how fast you do it and how well you do it. And then of course there's also the multiplayer, which this is really where we start to see the what we think of when we think of Call of Duty's like online multiplayer mode. This is where we start to see it really exist in the way we understand it. So, like, you're going in, you're doing battles, you're killing people, whatever, selecting from your like the preset classes and things, and you have a variety of modes to do. For things, deathmatch, or team deathmatch, free for all. You've got search and destroy with planting bombs. There's like a version of like planting bombs where I think there's one where you have to plant multiple. You're just trying your best to try and get to the area to destroy things and use infinite lives. There's like a mode where you're capturing these different set points on the map. There's a headquarters where you're trying to capture a moving objective. And there's stuff like there's ground war, which is like really big matches. There's cage match, which is 1v1. There's hardcore modes, which are like essentially the same kind of things, but people do more damage. And there's friendly fire. So like I don't know, there's definitely a decent package of like modes and things you can do here. And then the idea is that as you're playing through, you get experience points, you level up, you start to unlock the ability to customize your own classes. You unlock more weapons. You can, as you use weapons more, you can unlock extra like attachments or skins and things for your weapons. So you have like this progression system as you're like going and leveling up and doing things to try to incentivize you to keep playing and doing more. I mean that's pretty much again the game in the nutshell is still what you'd expect. It's pretty much the kind of thing you'd expect for even like a modern Call of Duty game. And definitely there's a lot to like here. Obviously, like I was saying, it's like the gameplay is a lot snappier. It's a lot more fluid. I think that's definitely very good. Just the overall feel of the game here definitely feels like a big jump from Call of Duty 3 for sure. Just the action feels very, very good. It's very solid, which kind of permeates through the entire game experience of everything you're doing in here is enjoyable because the basic, main doing stuff is good. And sound design still is good here. I mean, I've been noticing the sound design and these are all pretty good. And this is no exception. It also has like a good like balance of things for like I mean for one thing like different gameplay styles. I think adding in a few like kind of stealthier sneaking around sections is kind of interesting where you're not just going out and killing everybody, clearing everyone out or whatever. It helps kind of the pace of the game a bit. You have a bit of a break here and there with some of these other interesting sections. There's even a cool like section where like I mean there's not like tons of vehicle stuff, but there's like a section where like you're in a plane like shooting rockets or whatever explosive rounds and stuff down for like the whole mission to like help your people down on the ground. I think that's pretty cool. So there's some like neat like and also some neat set pieces like the Ferris wheel and like the plane and stuff. Like there's like I don't know, there's some cool stuff going on here, for sure. So like they have a good like mix of having like some like fun spectacle stuff, solid gameplay sections, and also a bit of story things going on. With some, I guess, like fun voice acting and stuff going on too. So like, it's a very good like mix and pacing. I think they kind of got like ratios a lot of these things right to keep this game both moving but also engaging and like doing stuff that you would want to do and see and have happen. So like I think it's put together very well. And then the multiplayer is also, I mean, having that bit of progression on top of this. I mean, again, like that, the really good mechanics help the multiplayer. Obviously, just doing that with other people. Obviously, it's going to be a good time because the core mechanics are so good. But what's more than that is that like that little bit of progression on top of there too to kind of keep you going and be like, okay, well, I want to check out this gun. I want to get these attachments. I want to get like my level up. I want to keep playing for that thing. I think that's an interesting idea, and definitely that can kind of get addicted and make you play for longer than you maybe normally would, because you're like, oh no, I just want to do a little bit more. I'm going to get this next level. I'm going to hit this next thing, rather than just like playing it until you're like, I don't know, I've done this a million times. I'm bored. It gives you a little bit of extra incentive to keep playing it. However, that's a bit lessened these days, where it's like when it came out, yeah, and I know the servers are back online and stuff, but you know, these days, if you're gonna go play on this, at least in my experience when I was trying to play on this, I mostly only found people in the team deathmatch lobbies. I couldn't like there were people in the other ones, but like if you want to be able to find a match within a reasonable amount of time, and I have to keep like retrying, timing out, and like just or setting up your own party or something, you're probably going to be pretty much stuck to that mode. So you're not going to have the same variety of modes to pick from. And also, you always have to watch out when these older Call of Duty games online, because they're not policed. You have to watch out for hacked lobbies and stuff, because there's not much you can do if you get into one, and there's nobody really doing anything. If you do get into them, really, I don't think there's any way to really do much about it. So The replayability is kind of lessened a bit in that sense, and even for the main campaign, the replayability isn't like the highest either, right? Because it's like, um, I mean, you do have like a bunch of cool different like weapons you can get and stuff here, and like you could maybe try, picking up your own weapons and be like, oh, I'll try a different weapon to go through this mission or something. Or you could try, like, going back through to different difficulties, or like getting all the intel. Because if you get all the intel, you can unlock cheats with those for, further playing and then have some runs through those. So, like, there are some cool things there still to give a little bit of replayability, but like, I think arcade mode is a pretty flimsy excuse of an extension of the game, because you're like, oh, it's arcade mode, who cares, right? Like, I mean, uh, I don't know. I just think that like it's just like, yeah, you're getting scores for these things, but like you're just kind of doing the same thing again. That's pretty flimsy. So like the game's a bit shorter, and there's not as much here to like do and replay. Not to say that necessarily you won't replay it, because it's not the most like interesting to redo things and do whatever and all that stuff. But like I do think that, again, like probably the biggest thing really holding this back at this point too is the hindsight of Modern Warfare 2 exists, which feels like it does kind of all the same things that this does, but does them a bit better, plus does a little bit more. So there are still unique levels to play here. There are still things to experience here, but I do think that time has really not been super kind to the first Modern Warfare, in the sense that like Modern Warfare 2 is like a better version of most of the things you're already seeing in here, which is not like a huge bash on this, because this is still pretty damn good, right? So like I don't want to be like too down on it. So yeah, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare is still very good. I mean, it it might not hold up the best anymore, because there are other really good Call of Duty games, but it's still a very good game. I think the levels are still worth playing. The unique levels and missions you get to do in here are still good. It's still very solid. The gameplay is still good. And like, while it's like maybe a weaker entry for offline play, it's still like, I think it's good enough. I mean, again, I'm just gonna say, maybe if you can catch it for like $15 or something, it's still good. 20 might be pushing it for just the lack of some of the other like replayability stuff, but still like not terrible. Um, I mean, going back to this, I think I probably like this more than I did when I originally played it, because I was just like, this is like a less good Modern Warfare 2 when I originally played it, and I still kind of think that. I mean, which makes sense. It was the one before that, but yeah, it's not bad. It's still very good, and I think that's worth like appreciating. And it still was fun to play through. It's still, it's still solid, and I, I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, like I said, the biggest criticisms of this game are that it's not as good as the thing that built on top of it. So I've been talking too long again, and we're gonna go in a little demo thing again. I really didn't remember doing that in the menu. I thought once I got to the menu where it said stuff, it would not do this. But what can you do? So, what do you guys think of the original Modern Warfare today? Do you think that it holds up? Do you think that other games like its sequel or like its remake have like made this kind of obsolete, or do you think this is still worth checking out for new people, for old fans of the old games who want to maybe miss it or something, or like what are your recommendations? Where would you play this? How are we feeling about Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4, right? Um, but definitely a big jump, definitely interesting to see, and it's all part of the journey. So even if I never play it again, um, it was at least fun enough where I wasn't like, oh man, what a slog. It was good. So like that was where I landed. A very soft, very soft. This game is good. So all right, that's that's good. Does this still count as modern? I think I looked online. It said it was take place in 2011 is when it's supposed to take place. Does this seem accurate?